NC Piedmont Outdoors presents Canteen Cup Cooking Chicken Paprikash. Brought to you in part by Slammer Series Turkey Calls, Daryl Madden Signature Series. Turkey calls made by a hunter for hunters. Visit www.slammerseries.com and order your turkey calls today.
Hey everybody, this is Joe from NC Piedmont Outdoors. Decided to do a little canteen cook in the backyard today. Decided to make a dish called chicken paprikash. It's the Hungarian version of chicken and dumplings. And what I have on the table for you is just the basic kind of ingredients I'm going to use today. I've got a can of chunk chicken, I've got some ground paprika and some Hungarian hot paprika, a little bit of canola oil, some cornstarch, a salt and pepper packet, got some measuring spoons we're going to use to measure out the ingredients. I've got my canteen cup, my stainless steel canteen cup with my Pathfinder lid there to go with it, and in the cooler I've got a little bit of onion and a little bit of sour cream. So it's kind of hot today, but so I want to keep that cool while I'm cooking. And I've got the fire going right over there in the pit, so as soon as that cools down a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So stay tuned. Alright, so as we get started here, I'm going to put my canteen there on the my little really put grill that I put together earlier today. I'm going to start heating up that container, my canteen. I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of oil just to kind of get it in there and start warming it up. So I'm just going to pour that out and kind of pour that in, kind of start heating that up right there. This is a pretty simple recipe. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients, and it's really good on the trail. The only thing that you struggle with a little bit is the sour cream. I'll talk about that later. So I got the oil in the pan, in the canteen. I want to heat that up a little bit. So I'm going to get my onion ready. And typically for this recipe, I'm going to use about, I don't know, about a quarter of a small onion. So let that warm up a little bit. I'm going to drop a piece in there, see if it starts bubbling. Make sure I grab this okay. I don't want to certainly don't want to get burnt. Right, so that onion's starting to bubble a little bit there. So I'm going to add in about, like I said, about a quarter of a small onion into the canteen cup. I'm not a huge fan, but if you like more, you can add a little bit more. It's just a little bit of flavoring in there. So I'm going to let that cook a little bit. Just going to stir it a little bit, stir it around, make sure it starts cooking. And a little bit brown. The fire's blowing pretty good. Once that onion browns a little bit, like I said, we'll go ahead and add the next couple of ingredients. Alright, so that onion's been cooking for a little bit. It's starting to get a little yellow and starting to get cooked up real nice. It's starting to get a little brown in spots, so we're going to go ahead and add the next couple of ingredients. So, first thing you want to do is you're going to open up your can of chicken. And this is just typical Walmart kind of, can of chicken here. I'm going to pop the top, pop the lid. And what you want to do here, you want to dump all the chicken and the water in there. And you want to add all that goodness in there. There you go. So you add in all this chicken. You let it go. Yeah, because you want that water in there. Get a spoon, we'll dig out a little bit more of this. Make sure it all comes out. Because you just definitely want all that moisture in there. And I'll tell you why. Because with this dish, you're going to want a little bit of sauce. You're going to want a little bit of, with that spices, you're going to want a little bit of sauce with it. So we've got the onion in there. We've got the oil. We browned that onion a little bit. We added the can of chicken. Now I'm going to add that little bit of salt packet like you get at any fast food restaurant. I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to add a packet of pepper, just again like you get at any fast food restaurant, a little pepper packet. Now the next part here comes the paprika. So what you want to do here is you're going to do, what I like to do, is I'm going to take a quarter of a teaspoon of the hot paprika. So I got this hot paprika. I'm going to use this. So this, I'm going to get in there, and I'm going to get just a quarter of a tablespoon because this is some good hot spice. So I'm going to put about a quarter of a teaspoon in there of the hot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3/4 of a teaspoon of the regular ground paprika, not hot, just regular. Add that in there. Now, once you've got those spices in there, I'm going to go ahead and just use my spoon, and I'm going to kind of stir it in a little bit. You don't want to stir it too much because the chicken will just all break up. So, but you just want that to kind of cook in there. You want to simmer it a little bit. This fire is hot enough where I don't need to put the lid on right now. So I'm just going to let it sit in there a little bit and let that bubble up. Let that cook for a little bit. Get that roar going. In fact, you know what? I am going to put on a lid. I'm going to put on my Pathfinder lid. Fits perfectly on my stainless steel cup. So let's just keep the lid on that and let it bubble up a little bit while I get another piece of wood. Let's go ahead and lift the lid a little bit and see how we're doing here. Well, it's not quite bubbling yet, but we'll keep that lid on and let it go, and it should. That log will catch and it'll start bubbling real good, and get a nice simmer on that is what you really want. Let that simmer for about 5 or 10 minutes or so. I mean, you know it's all cooked and everything, but we just want to kind of let those flavors absorb into that chicken and kind of get it to the point where we like it. Go ahead and pull that lid a little bit and just see what it's doing under there. Oh, no, not quite there yet. That's alright. We'll give it another few minutes and start simmering. Alright, so I took the lid off to check it, and it looks like it's bubbling up a little bit. So I'm going to add just a little bit more water, because again, with this recipe, you do want a little bit of water in there. You want some moisture. You want a little bit more, because you're going to add the cornstarch to thicken it a little bit, and you can add a little bit of sour cream. You definitely want that sauce with the chicken, because that really adds to the flavor. And then as that gets simmering, we're going to add about a cup of gnocchi. So typically chicken paprikash uses like dough noodles. So if you have another container where you want to make some flour, make some dough, and then break it off into little pieces and put it in there, you can use rice, you can use egg noodles. But at the dollar store, you can get a package of potato gnocchi for $1. Use about a cup of that to throw in there, and it's perfect. It only takes about 1 or 2 minutes to cook that gnocchi, and that kind of substitutes for me. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to just let this go for a few more minutes, and then I'm going to go get the gnocchi and add it. Alright, so here we go. It's bubbling real good. I got about a cup of potato gnocchi here, so I'm just going to kind of drop that in the water there, right there. It only takes about a minute or two for that to cook, so I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on it a bit and let it bubble up a little bit more. I'll give it a stir in about a minute or two, and we should be good to go. And then I'm going to add a little bit of cornstarch to thicken that, and I'm going to add a little dollop of sour cream. So let's give it a few minutes, and I'll show you what we do next. Alright, so I've got the gnocchi in there now cooking. So it's bubbling real nice and a nice simmer with that fire going. So now I'm going to add a tablespoon of sour cream. As you can see here, I'm just going to drop that in there and kind of swirl it around. Get it off my tablespoon there of sour cream. And then I'm going to go ahead and add, after I add the sour cream, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of cornstarch slurry here a little bit. Add that in there for thickening. Then I'm going to use my spoon and kind of mix that all around. Get my spoon here, and we'll just go ahead and mix that real gentle and mix that all in there. And let that simmer. Alright, so the final step here, I added a little tablespoon of sour cream, as you saw, and I added a little bit of cornstarch to thicken. And if you look at that, that is just awesome. Look at that color, the gnocchi, the chicken, the paprika. That is perfect chicken paprikash. So I'm going to go ahead and put this spoon down, and we're going to pull this off the fire, and it's time to enjoy. Alright everybody, here's the finished product. Take a look at that. That is awesome, you know. And this is just a great simple recipe for using your canteen to cook a meal for yourself. Like I said, it had the oil, the onion, then you add the can of chicken, a little salt, a little pepper, paprika, and some hot paprika to give it that kick. You know, I used about a handful or a cup of gnocchi, a tablespoon of sour cream, and a little bit of water, and good sauce, mix it all together, a little cornstarch to thicken. It's perfect, right? You know, you can almost take everything here on the trail with you except for the sour cream. They do make a powdered sour cream. I haven't used it yet, but you know, if you can use that instead of regular sour cream, then there's nothing that you can take that you can't take with you to cook this on the trail. Instead of using the gnocchi, if you're worried about that, you know, it should last, but you could use rice, you can use egg noodles or pasta of any kind, elbow noodles, same thing, kind of thing, right? Just cook it in that sauce, and it should be delicious. So again, this is Joe from NC Piedmont Outdoors. I appreciate it. If you like the content, please go ahead and click that like button, and please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're a new channel. We're just starting out, so hopefully you liked the video and like what you saw, and we'll see you again next time for another recipe. Thanks.